would now like to call on Professor John Ebohon. He's the Director of Internationalization and Professor of Sustainability and Environmental Law. Head Center for Sustainability and Resilient Infrastructure and Communities. He's going to talk to us about sustainability and the agro and value chain. Professor Ebohon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me try and share my screen first. My screen? Can I share my screen, please? Can I share my screen?
Victor.
Just a moment, just a moment.
Okay. Give him permission, please.
Please try again, sir. Please try again.
Yes. Oh, great.
Thank you, everyone. May I first of all congratulate Mrs. Ezinwa for a brilliant presentation, which was very, very indigenized, giving us her experience and redefining entrepreneurship within the Nigerian context. I really appreciate that. And you're going to make my work relatively easier today. As already been said, let me go to my, as has been said, I'm Professor John Ebohon. I'm Professor of Sustainability and Environmental Law at London South Bank University. It's always a pleasure participating in the event put up by Mr. Ahir and Mrs. Ahir, particularly as they relate to the development of the Nigerian economy as well as the Nigerian people. I'm talking about agriculture and value chain. As already been said by our first speaker, COVID-19 threw a lot of things in the air. It shows that irrespective of how prepared you may be, you can never be fully prepared for any kind of eventuality. And from a personal perspective, as you would appreciate, I said to somebody casually just 2 days ago, I said, if you've never believed in God before COVID-19, it's a very good reason to believe in God. Because if you look at what is happening in Africa, I cannot believe why the calamity we've seen in the developed world, despite their technological advancement and paraphernalia, have suffered disproportionately. So if you look at some of the things that COVID-19 is thrown up, is imbibing all of us to look inwards. You heard about a week ago, we're told that America has bought one of the earlier versions of the medicine known to have kind of effect on COVID-19 for the next 3 months, irrespective of the world. Gone through the window is multilateralism and nationalism is crept in. And this is what you hear when they say, you know, think of number one. Who is that number one? And that's yourself. At the individual level, your community level, your nation, you know, at the national level. Now, what I'm asked to talk about is to look ahead. What will happen after COVID-19? How can we sustain our economic activities, given that we are heavily reliant on import. And I've been asked to look at agriculture and agriculture value chain, which is the topic I've been given. And I also believe that it presents Nigeria a golden opportunity to emerge from the pandemic with the kind of training, knowledge, and competencies. Because if you can feed yourself as a nation, 60 to 70% of your problems are solved. You know, one of the countries, Bangladesh, 78 to 80% of everything Bangladesh needs is derived internally. So I look at agriculture sector, it's one of those sectors where Nigeria will be seen to have a comparative advantage relative to other sectors, being given our geographical endowment and our location and how rich and valuable our agricultural characteristics are. As you can see, agriculture contributes 22% of our GDP. That belies the importance of agriculture to the Nigerian economy. If you look at it this way, you might say, well, look at services. Let us invest more, in service sector than other sector. We are talking here about the formal sector of the economy. Now, if you were to go to the informal sector, which we know is about 60% or 70% of the total GDP, agriculture contributes 46%. So it's highly significant, to the Nigerian economy. And agriculture also has other characteristics. It's labor intensive, although to increase your productivity, you can begin to introduce machineries and or technology to develop the sector. So as it is, if you combine all together, agriculture actually contributes about 40.2% of the Nigerian, of the total GDP in the country. So it's huge and extensive. But unfortunately, it is very, very undeveloped. It's undeveloped because we apply little or no technology or improvement to the sector. As you can see, it is largely subsistence. You produce, you take to the market. Here, our earlier speaker talked about opportunities, and I cannot emphasize that. When I said to somebody, a classmate of mine, a Nigerian university professor as well, when I visited Nigeria last time, we were sitting at his office and discussing. And I said to him, I said, unfortunately, everything I see in Nigeria is opportunity. He couldn't believe it. He thought I was insensitive to the plight of Nigeria. I took the opportunity to tell him that one of the biggest problems now in the Western world is how to create and generate employment, because almost every other sector is already been touched. I say, here, you look outside of your window, you are applying knowledge, and what you say, you can see how you can transform and engage people in the world of work. As you can see here, you look at cassava, you look at what we do here, all in raw form. And what then followed? If you see, the agriculture sector has already been said today, present a golden opportunity. Research that is being done from 2012 to 2022, it shows food sales as one of the major contributors to sub-Saharan African gross domestic product. That's where you're going to generate significant amount of economic activity. Okay? At the moment, Nigeria does export some products, sesame seeds, 5.6 billion, frozen shrimps, cashew nuts, ginger, gum, Arabia, and green peas as well, so on and so forth. But these are just a tip of the iceberg. I put rubber there because that's what we are defined and known for previously. that Malaysia came and took from us, and they are one of the largest producers, of rubber today. Not to talk about, palm oil, where they derive huge amount of resources in terms of diversifying the sources of revenue from just palm oil. They produce about 57 different kinds of oils from palm oil. And you know what? One of the rarest form of oil is produced, from palm kernel up to certain degrees. Okay. So what is the problem? How do we improve agriculture in Nigeria? In order to try and look at that, we need to concentrate on the agricultural value chain, to go back to the wonderful lecture we received from Mrs. Ezinwa, this afternoon. When you look at this value chain, presents us with huge opportunities at every stage. Input to agriculture. We import most of our inputs to agriculture in Nigeria. But when I went to Aba, I was shocked. I was shocked at the level of competencies and the adaptation of technology, indigenous technology, to agricultural sector. In fact, what I experienced in Nigeria was similar to what I experienced in South Africa. Because in South Africa, you can build a brewery overnight. And if you are dismissive, you might actually doubt the capacity of those people brought to see the process, because they wouldn't conform to your own ordinary, sense of engineers or product, engineer or systems engineer. Why? Because apartheid regime equipped those people, they trained them in Afrikaans, but they were not giving diploma or certificates. So which meant those people remained in South Africa. Okay? And so if you look at the agricultural value chain here, the input in terms of fertilizer, agricultural implements, ordinary cutlass we import from China. Okay? And we are waiting for somebody. If you go to China and you see how they make these cutlasses, you will be shocked it's something that we can do. And it was being done before the Civil War. Okay? And so huge amount of jobs and employment opportunities can be generated at the input supply stage into our agriculture. Primary production is also key. That's where most of us are involved. And to my surprise, I don't mean to say this to insult anybody, especially those of us in diaspora. Linking it to what Mrs. Ezinwa said earlier on. Most of us are not different even from our brothers and sisters back home in terms of the way we see opportunities, the way we want to tap into it. Most of my well-to-do friends and colleagues here, when you ask them, you talk to them, they say, oh, yes, I'm going into agriculture. You said, excellent. What's your entry point? They say, I'm going to start planting palm trees. I'm going to start planting cassava. I said, for God's sake, we have millions of people doing that already. What we don't have is how you produce mechanisms to transform what they do into various products. It says you want to talk about food packaging. That's even down the line. What about food technology? I eat carbohydrate in so many forms here. How many forms do we eat rice? In this country, they call it different names and process it into different formats. Okay? We eat rice and stew, rice and stew, rice and stew. That's all we do. When I was growing up, you used to be able to go and buy jollof can, open it, and you eat it. There's huge opportunities here. All right. What about post-harvest handling? I'll come to that again. That's what I showed earlier on. No one would appreciate that 50% of our fruits and vegetables, you know, got rot just after production, are lost because we can't preserve them. We have no mechanism of preserving this product from one season to the other. If I get up here now and say I want to buy corn, I go to the shop, I get a can of corn. It's as sweet as if it just come out of the farm. Are we saying we have nobody in Nigeria who can do that? Now, what about trading? These are all linked. We are telling everyone to go to farm. To go and farm what? To produce what? You know, we tend to believe that those farmers, because they are not wearing suit and tie, they are illiterate. That's why I remain grateful again to Mrs. Enziwa this afternoon, telling us that you don't have to go to university and accumulate degree to be an entrepreneur. No. What you need is that innate ability to see a market, appreciate that there is risk, and plunge into it. That's what an entrepreneur means. Entrepreneurship means. So if you look at that post-harvest handling, how we handle these products, you know, there is a huge gap there. When it comes to trading, we're asking people again to go to farm and start trading. To produce what? How many Nigerians, you know, eat cassava now, or rice, or all these local produce as we produce them? Look at how, what do you call this? They are even selling them in the UK now. This Indomie. See how Indomie took off. All right. So we need to add value. We need to add value to these products. This is how you create jobs. And this is how you create employment and income generating opportunities. Then at the processing stage, where you transform this product, this produce into different products, we also need to develop that sector. As you can see, there is a trading activities, you know, taking place after you add value. Okay, so in other words, up to the final consumption, whatever you produce is an input or could be an input to something else. Okay, so what we are saying here is that value chain management guarantees diverse business opportunities for all. It is fundamental, you know, if we want to take that on board. And these are some of the things that we are saying. Look at post-harvest losses. We lose 50% of our fruits and vegetables, 40% of our roots-based produce, cereals, 20%. And at each phases, post-harvest processing and post-harvest marketing, you know, significant proportion of the value of these products are lost. Okay, but again, you know, not to lose hope. As we can see here, that's a silo. Okay, I will refer back to it later on. This is solar drying facilities where you can preserve food just to last a few months. Here in, what do you call it, in Kano and Sokoto, after many years of throwing away tomatoes, they now find a very, very simple, innovative way of packaging tomatoes, you know, that can go, you know, long distances. Okay, look at what you do if you are able to enhance the value chain, you know, and add value. This is what you do. You keep people employed. I don't need to dwell more on this. It has been proven that when you keep women engaged, right, you begin to reduce population, because the opportunity cost of having additional child is the income and businesses that, you know, you will be earning. Okay. Now, we have the infrastructures in place. We have 10 federal universities of technology. All right? And what do? If you go there today, they are all running history courses. They are running literature. All right? And these are federal universities of technology. They cannot produce one single, technological input that will transform the sector. If you think that is bad enough, look at this. Okay, we have university that are specifically. Sorry, my something is frozen. Okay, that is.
How long do you still need?
Huh?
How long do you need?
No, I just want. I'm just finishing now. I wanted to show that we have the Federal University of Technology. We have federal agricultural, technological institutions, as well. These are well placed. We have, federal agricultural bank. Okay, so we have all the facilities on ground. We have what it takes to transform the agricultural sector, to absorb the huge teeming unemployment. For us to be able to attract people into the agricultural sector, we have to make it a sexy, sector. We want to make it an attractive sector that 17-year-old, 20-year-old, 35-year-old leaving university will want to go and make a career out of. So if we have all these facilities and the brain, what shocks me to the core is this. When apartheid came to an end in South Africa and all the whites were leaving South Africa, the South African government appealed to the American and the European for assistance. So they sent all their experts, to South Africa. Mandela went in there and wanted to welcome them, and then suddenly realized that there was not a single black person there, and asked them to look inwards. And all of a sudden, they came in and went to historically black institutions in America. Guess who they sent? Among the people they sent to South Africa to show up the agricultural sector, 10 of the leading people were Nigerians. Okay? The guy who was bringing millions of dollars into the livestock was a 35-year-old Nigerian professor from University of Ibadan. He's late now, may his soul rest in peace. Okay? And so we have these people, we have the competencies. What is lacking? Is it federal character that is not allowing people with the knowledge and ability to implement and effect their knowledge to achieve maximum impact? Or is it for lack of political will? Now coming to those of us here in the diaspora, if we want to look at areas in which we want to, connect with the agricultural sector, as Mrs. Ezewa has just said, giving us a roadmap. We don't have to go and start replicating or duplicating the efforts. What those in the agricultural sector want, there's a model they use. Farmers, they use what we call cobweb model to plant. What does that mean? If you have an acre of land and you use that acre of land to plant potato and then cassava, it depends on how much you are able to sell of cassava this year and the profit you make from cassava this year that will determine the amount of acreage you use next year to plant the other product. If you make more profit, you use the whole acre, your whole acreage, to plant that product. In other words, supply creates its own response. If our farmers know that they can produce beyond the subsistence level, which means they can produce goods and services, they are able to take it to the market, and they are able to sell it, they will expand. So I'd like to conclude to say that, yes, we need help. We need to get involved in agriculture, but we have to be very, very strategic. Again, I refer to Mrs. Ejiwa. It says, if you are going into any business, it's like going to war. You have to be prepared. If you are going into a battle, you don't know how you are going to enter into the theater, then you have lost. Okay? So thank you very much, Kede, and I hope, I wish you success. And before I left, I will not be able to take your questions because I'm just rushing into another meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. But before you leave, please, can we wave to Professor and clap? Please, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good presentation. You've given us a...
This is a PhD thesis. This is a thesis for somebody like me. This is a thesis, Professor. I thank you.
Thank you very much. All right.
I thank you.
Bye-bye, ma'am. I'm very sorry to leave.
Presentation will be shared after
Yes. Okay.
And if you have any questions,
yeah, I can answer on chat, please.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye-bye.